Hey guys, and yes, Dirk, you are first again. I see four people in here, but you're definitely first in the chat. Um, Texas is saying, "I'll be quiet." Let me show y'all's comments here. Dirk's declaring that he's first again, and Texas is saying, "Oh, be quiet." Okay, so anyway, thank you guys for joining me for. Are you ready for this? The 13th week of Cheese Extreme Wednesday. Um, I don't know. I guess I never envisioned this going on quite this long. I know there's a lot of, there we go. I'm just adjusting my camera, although it's showing how crazy my hair is. But um, I don't know. I guess I just didn't think about it going on this long. I mean, I know there's a lot of cheesy movies and stuff. But I just like week 13. And I still got, some movies to go. Um, Actually, I've got the ones picked out for next Wednesday. But tonight, and I know already Texas told me one of these sucked, which I don't think it sucked. I mean, it's a little cheesy, maybe a lot cheesy, but I don't think it sucked. I enjoyed it. But, like I say, to each his own. But we're going to be talking about offerings and pledge night tonight. And yes, I do have the Blu-ray, the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray of this. Um, Next Wednesday, we're going to be covering the Redeemer, aka Class Reunion Massacre, and Return to Horror High. And yes, you see George Clooney's name on there, and Maureen McCormick, Marsha Brady, Marsha. Um, she's on this too. So you get George Clooney and Maureen McCormick. And for those of you that have seen Bloody Birthday, you also get Lori Lethin in this. Scott Jacoby's also in it. Phil McKeon is in it, or Philip McKeon, Alex Rocco. I mean, you got a lot of names that are familiar from this one. So I think those two are going to be a lot of fun. Derek, you say burnt offerings is great. Dirk, do you think that one's cheesy, or you just think it's a great movie? Because like way back when Steve and I did the commentary for offerings, I talked him into doing one for offerings. And actually, I think that was when we were like pulling movies that each of us had picked out of a hat. Um, and he got the Friday 13th remake, and I got offerings. And Steve was, I don't think Steve really knew what offerings was prior to watching it. I don't think he'd ever seen it before. And when I first said offerings, he was like, offerings, and in his head, he said he was thinking of a movie with Oliver Reed. And I was like, oh, you mean burnt offerings? And he's like, yeah. He said, that's not a fun one to do a commentary over. Um, Texas, you say hell yes. Are you gonna like these offerings better than the offerings for this week? Oh, you can look forward to that next Wednesday. Um, TJ used to like both of those movies a lot. Hi, y'all. Now, TJ, are you talking about the Redeemer and Return to Horror High, or Offerings and Pledge Night? Let's see. Or neither of those things. Red, you say burnt offerings is considered a classic, but I think it's boring and drawn out. I'm not gonna say I hate it or anything, but Red, I do consider it a little dry, just just a little dry. Um, but again, it's been a while since I last watched it, so I may need to watch it again. Texas, you say Return to Horror High is great. Marie McCormick was not a fan. I would imagine not. I have a funny story. Well, it's kind of funny. I'll go ahead and tell it now, and I may retell it next Wednesday when we actually talk about the movie. But back when I had my first library job, I donated a bunch of old horror VHS to the library when I got DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that. And so Return to Horror High was one that I donated to the library. Well, here's why if you work for a public library, especially where you've got kids' videos, family videos, and adult videos. And by adult, I don't mean porn. I mean, ones, that have subject matter that would be best viewed by adults, I guess is the best way to say it. Although public libraries are not supposed to censor, we trust that the parents or grandparents or whoever brings the kids in there will help them choose the right material for their home. You know, so so what happened in this case is we also had a Disney movie about an elephant called Whispers. Well, evidently somebody must have checked out both Return to Horror High and Whispers at some point in time, and somebody, when they were returned, didn't check to make sure the right movie was in the right case. And evidently, the grandmother who put what they thought was Whispers, the Disney film, into the VCR and then walked away and went in the other room, did not pay attention to the title that was on the VHS. So she, the grandmother went on about her business and left the young girls, to watch what she thought was Whispers. A little while later, she hears a big scream coming from the living room. She goes back in there, and her granddaughters tell her somebody just got their head cut off. And what they had been watching was Return to RI and not Whispers. Needless to say, the staff got a little talking to about making sure that that the right movies were in the right cases when they were returned. um, it's not like, I know we would get disappointed at the video store when some occasionally you would get the wrong movie. The wrong movie would be in the wrong case. And that happened a few times, and it was a little aggravating, but sometimes the movie you got was pretty decent. So but when you work for a library system, it's a little bit different. So TJ, you say Redeemer and Horror High. um, TJ, you say you've seen Pledge Night, but you haven't seen the other one. You haven't seen Offerings. Gotcha. um, Dark, you said, been watching Cemetery Man. It's been a decade or so since my last watch. I see why Steve picked it. It's all coming back to you now, isn't it, Dirk? Lordy. I mean, I'm going to go into it with an open mind. I'll probably end up rewatching it when Steve rewatches it, which will probably be Friday or Saturday, I would imagine. So anyway, what else we got coming up? We have, I don't know yet if I'm going to do anything tomorrow night or Friday night. I'll have to see how I've been feeling. This, like I said, on some of the other streams, this has been a rough week health wise. My doctor did finally get that paperwork filled out, and she said she faxed it to my HR department and also emailed it to them. Now I'm going to wait a day or so, and if the HR department doesn't say, "Hey, we got your paperwork in," I'm going to point blank ask. Because I figure the sooner I ask, the better chance of it not ending up in a slush pile somewhere or the bottom of a trash can or wherever the heck they decide to put it just so they don't have to deal with it. Um, uh, Texas, you say, did I see the bug eyes comment? Oh, I've got, here we go. I've got big bug eyes. Sorry about that, Texas. I missed that. Let's see. Derek, you say, I remember that at mall and Paul video shop, so I always had to check the case before I left the shop. Yeah, and a lot of times I would do that, but there were maybe a couple of times where we didn't, or we got a stack of videos and then noticed when we got it home, oops, this isn't the right movie. I think one time my dad got what he thought was a Western and it turned out, or maybe it was still a Western, it just wasn't the Western that he thought he rented. Hey, Manelect, how are you tonight? Manelect says, I hope all is well with all good souls. Red, you say, how about streaming Ninja 3 The Domination? Well, Red, again, I am concerned basically about streaming anything unless it's in the public domain, unless it was something like Night of the Living Dead. I'm just, kind of hesitant to do that because Steve got several copyright strikes against him for attempting to stream things. And so I just don't want to, I don't want to mess anything up for myself. Um, hey, 71KJC. Glad to have you in here tonight. Um, so let's see. And okay, I'm just trying to, let's see. We are going to have our last week of Argento versus Fulci next Tuesday. And basically, I'll only have 4 movies, 2 movies for each of the directors because basically I ran out of Fulci movies. So, again, the movies that we're going to be covering for the final week 4 of Argento versus Fulci are Do You Like Hitchcock and Mother of Tears for the Argento films, and for Fulci, Door to Silence and Voices from Beyond. And then following that week, on the Tuesday following that week, we are going to start our Mattei versus Fragrasso week 1. And the Mattei movies will be Hell of the Living Dead, The Other Hell, Violence in a Women's Prison, Rats, Night of Terror, and Shocking Dark. And the Fragrasso offerings will be Monster Dog, After Death, aka Zombie 4, Beyond Darkness, Night Killer, and Troll 2. And the first Saturday of October, I have promised Curly Jaws that we will do a watch along for Maximum Overdrive. The first Sunday of October, we will be doing Darren's pick of Don't Go in the House. That will be the watch along. Well, as you say, howdy, y'all. Howdy, Dana Lynn. I'm watching Terror Squad tonight, filmed in Filthy Phil Pine's hometown. Awesome. So we got a bunch of stuff coming up that you guys can look forward to. And I also wrote down several different ideas for different streams. That, I just kind of basically had people throw things out. Darren was on the stream with me last night, audio only, but he was still on here. And so we kind of did a free form, like just throwing different things out. Curly Jaws was not in there last night, not even in chat. So I'm figuring maybe Argento and Fulci is not his cup of tea, maybe. He was not in there last time, but we had a pretty good crowd. We had 10 or a little bit above that, and we've got 10 in here right now. I'm going to try to keep those 10, and maybe we'll gain a few more. Oh, was Don't Go in the House your pick, Texas? Okay. Or was Maximum Overdrive your pick? Am I getting totally confused? Sorry about that. Um, I could have sworn that if it's Don't Go in the House, I could have sworn Darren told me it was his pick, but like I said, my brain's not good anymore, so I do apologize. Um, so 71 KJC, you say we'll be watching something scary later on. Last night I saw a new one. Boy, was that bad. What do you mean, Wes, that audio don't count? Yeah, of course it counts. Oh, so 71 KJC was watching Blackwoods. I don't think I've seen that one. Hey, McCar, what are y'all picking? Well, um, if you're talking about watch alongs, we've got several different watch alongs coming up. We do have the Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. I almost forgot, coming up this Saturday. Unless Steve changes his mind, it'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Um, we've got to watch along the first Saturday of October, which will be Maximum Overdrive. The first Sunday of October will be Don't Go in the House. And then I've got to come up with probably one or two more for this month on Saturdays. Okay. Sorry about that, Texas. Like I said, my brain is just been complete mush for about the last month, and it seems like it's getting worse. Um, so, sorry guys, that was Texas's pick. Oh, come on, Dirk. You saying Rupert Everett is better than Bruce Campbell? I don't think so, but to each his own. Um, so, Makara, you vote for the last slumber party for a watch along? Um, we'll hold that thought because I'm making a list of these things. And I'm actually, isn't this awful? I'm writing in my work notebook. So I gotta find where I wrote that list of. All right, so I don't think we've got last slumber party on here. So we will. So we have a list going on possible watch alongs. Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker, we're doing this Saturday, but we also have Savage Streets, Slumber Party Massacre 2, Student Bodies, Hard to Die, Bloody Bloody Bible Camp, The Evil Dead remake, uh, Phenomenon, Home Sweet Home, Christine, and The Last Slumber Party now, thanks to McCarr. Okay, let's see. 71 KJC, you say Rupert Everett was in a movie I saw a long time ago about the end of the world and he worked at a cemetery. Um, See, it's been a while since I watched Cemetery Man or Delamorte, or what, however you pronounce that. Um, so, but I don't remember if it had anything to do with the end of the world, though. Um, Texas, you say, Blissful and I watched Itchy the Killer last night. I hadn't seen it in 15 years and forgot how fucked up it was. We had to turn it off. Steve may have that one somewhere. Um, TJ, you say, y'all see they made a Terror Train remake set on Halloween made for Tubi coming out soon. Why is my question. Money is probably the answer. Most likely, I had not heard that, TJ, but thanks for sharing that. I may want to check it out. Anyway, even though I'm kind of like you, why? Okay, Darren, sorry about that. You picked Savage Streets. Okay, gotcha. What the heck? You say that Jack of all trades show ruined Bruce Campbell's street cred. It's true. It's damn true. I don't think so. I love that Jack of all trades show. What was wrong with it? I also like Briscoe County Jr. as well. Red, you say, is that film about the 300-pound woman that escaped the mental hospital and kills people any good? No, Red, it is not, but it is entertaining. I will say that. Um, Darky say, don't forget Afro Queen and the Booty Shakers is a double feature with Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker. Oh, Lordy. Is that a real movie? I'm sorry for being so dense, but I hadn't even heard of that. Darren, you say, I'm going into Cemetery Man with an open mind, too. Yeah, and me and you both, Darren. Oh, I wouldn't doubt that, McCar. I wouldn't doubt that at all, that the last summer party is free on YouTube. Uh, yeah, 71 KJC, you should join us for Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker on Saturday. I'm inviting everybody. Everybody that we can get to come. I want them to show up. So, 71 KJC, you say it sounds like fun. Wes, you say Cemetery Man is about natural gigantic boobies. Okay. I don't even know what to say about that. Hey, John. Texas, you say it's a good movie. Blissful and I watched it not too long ago. It's a favorite of mine. Turk says, indeed, CK, indeed. Um, John, you say I sold My Name is Bruce recently. That's an okay movie, but it's apparently out of print. I just remember Ganji was his name. Yeah, I would have to say, as much as I love Bruce Campbell, John, I think My Name is Bruce is just okay, and I don't know, that movie just wasn't what I was expecting, and I did not hate it, but I didn't think it was the best of the Bruce Campbell movies. Um, Macari say Butcher Baker would go good with Mountaintop Motel Massacre. Yeah. Um, the only problem with having a double feature with these watch alongs is I'm afraid they might go on way too long. Um, is is generally why I've been sticking to one movie to do the watch alongs for. 71 KJC, you say I saw the last slumber party. Now that one, that again is a very bad movie, but I find it entertaining. John, you say I'll definitely be on Saturday. Got a fancy ass razor mic. Not really fancy. Yeah, but aren't those razors? Aren't they pretty good mics? I've seen those. I don't have a fancy mic. This is for fine or something. Like it's not like some of these fancy schmancy things that some people have, but it serves its purpose, I think. So, I think with all that being said, you guys continue to put things in the chat as you feel compelled to do so, and I will keep glancing in the chat as I discussing the movies. Um, let's see. Well, it says we need to do a Friday 13th marathon stream. I mean, um, yeah. Do you mean like we as in you guys, or we as in me and you guys, or me and Steve and you guys, um, or how do you mean we? John, you say it's not bad. I got that and a Logitech camera. The phone is great, but it sucks working in landscape mode. It's why I always got to steal my wife's laptop on the Patreon streams. Uh, I wouldn't have even known you were doing that, John, if you didn't tell me. Um, Poor old Curly Jaws, he keeps using his phone when he's on the streams with me, and then his phone dies. Um, what she said, we, as in I got a turd in my pocket. I'm just saying. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. So, Wes, since you're in here, when the hell are we going to do that? What the commentary or the watch along for prom night? We never freaking did it, and we're in fall now. I almost called you Steve. Wes, we're in the fall time now. So when are we going to do this thing? Red, you say there are a lot of good made for TV movies that you can find on here. I just heard of White Line Fever over the weekend. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It seems like there's a lot more stuff now or in the last, I don't know, 2, 3 years on YouTube that is it just astounds me. But I think even Tubi has got YouTube beat. I mean, I'm amazed at all the stuff that's on Tubi. What she said, I know. Don't they have fall proms? I I don't know if they're called proms, but I guess they do have fall dances. We didn't ever have any proms in the fall when I was in high school. It was always like spring proms. But I'm not saying we can't do it in the fall. John, you say Tubi is the unintentional king of free horror. I'm not sure they ever expected that. I ran across a channel on YouTube the other night. I think it's called Kings of Horror. You guys might want to check it out. They've got a lot of movies on there. Oops. You say it beats Shutter hands down. Homecoming, yes, Texas, yes, definitely, yeah. I was never big on any of that stuff when I was in high school. I guess I just wasn't cool enough. I did go to my senior prom though. Darky says Shutter sucks for the most part. Arrow streaming site is the shit. Yes, McCars. Actually, somebody that remembers the movie Lisa. Awesome. I talked about Lisa. It's been a while back though. About the girl that pranks the guy who stalks her. Yeah, yeah, that is a really cool, essentially made for TV movie. Yeah, I really liked that one. Really, really liked it. John, you say, yeah, I went to homecoming. They played Limp Biscuit and Juvenile. LOL. Oh, wow. That makes me feel old, John. They do have it on Blu ray. I actually have the Blu ray. Takes you say, I love Arrow, but Shutter has been pretty good lately. Yes, Darren. Lisa from 1990. That's a really good slasher with a girl from My Two Dads. Yes. Yes, exactly. Actually, I'll show my copy off again here. If I can find it. I think Brandon's going to come back here. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I hadn't thought of uh, My Two Dads in a long time, but yeah, and it's also Frank Yablon's presented it, probably produced it. It's directed by Gary Sherman. Um, Stacy Keenan, that's who you're referring to that plays Lisa in the movie. Cheryl Ladd is also in this movie. Um, yeah, there it is, guys. It says someone out there is Lisa's fantasy. Pray she never meets him. This was one of the better ones that I remember watching on TV growing up. I remember sitting down and watching this one with my mom. This is actually the Kino Lorber Blu-ray, and I'm not so sure that it was a made-for-TV movie because it's listed as PG-13. But I remember the first time I watched it, it was on TV. Brandon's coming in here. 71KJC, you say I saw that. John, you say my two dads taking it back for me. Um, Dougie said the HBO original Blackout was great from what I remember. I was thinking Blackout. The Blackout was on YouTube somewhere. I think I saw it. And all those true crime things, like Helter Skelter, with Steve Railsback playing Charles Manson. Um, the Deliberate Stranger about Ted Bundy, where Mark Harmon plays Ted Bundy and does a really, really good job. And Steve Railsback does a really, really good job playing Charles Manson. So good, in fact, that I cannot listen to Steve Railsback talk without thinking Charles Manson. Just because he seemed to, I mean, it sounds sort of creepy to immerse yourself in someone like Charles Manson, but he really, really was good in Helter Skelter. Um, oh, yes. Oh, man. You guys are really bringing out these movies that I remember growing up. McCarr says, "What about the Paperboy from 1994? It had that crazy redhead kid who delivered papers on his bicycle and was obsessed with his teacher neighbor. Wasn't that oh shoot? Oh, what's her face from Christine that plays Arnie's girlfriend? I was thinking that was her." You said came out in '85. Keith Carradine, I highly recommend. I think that was the one that I saw on YouTube. Um, Darren, you said, Dirk, is that the one with the cover like a gimp mask, blackout? I mean, um, there was another really good one. Speaking of one of the Carradines that Robert Carradine was in, called "I Know Who You Are. I Saw What You Did." Um, that was a creepy ass movie. And Robert Carradine, I mean, this wouldn't be the only time that Robert Carradine played a crazy guy. He did a really good job in Body Bags. in the first story, the gas station and body bags. But Alexander Paul, that's who I was thinking of that was in Christine. She is in the Paperboy. Um, but yeah, I would highly recommend that. I Know Who You Are, I Saw What You Did, which is basically, I think it's like a loose remake of the old movie, um, called, I think, just I Saw What You Did. And so these girls play a prank call type of game where they call just random people up and say, I know who you are, I saw what you did. And they end up calling the wrong guy. They end up calling Robert Carradine's character, and he has just killed his girlfriend or something. And so he becomes convinced that these girls really did see what he did, and he wants to get rid of them. So I always thought that that was a really creepy but cool movie. McCarr, you say, I was watching the gas station earlier. I wish he made that a full length movie. Yeah, they probably could have padded that out to make a full length movie. Red, you said a little girl lives down the lane was good. Yes. Yeah, I need to watch the rest of that. I have not watched. That's the Jodie Foster one, right? I believe that I've watched most of it, but not all of it. Okay, so y'all keep chatting in here. This is a great kind of side conversation. I'm going to go ahead and get started with offerings. Now, I know there were at least one or two of you guys that said that you had not seen offerings before. Um, but even though I think there are several cheesy elements to this movie, I still love this movie. This is once again another one of those movies where Steve says he never wants to watch this movie again. He's done a commentary for it, and he's just done. He's done with this movie. Um, yes, TJ, it is a remake of the 60s, 70s movie with Joan Crawford. You are right. And Dirk, you say that one, Red, has those pedo vibes with Sheen's character. Pretty much. Um, McCarr says, anyone a fan of Gate 2? I prefer that over the original. I like Gate 2. Actually, I like both of them. McCarr, you say Offerings is fun. So, McCarr seems to be kind of on the same train as me, and the same train of thought and everything. Um, the I always thought the tagline was great for this one. Remember him before he dismembers you, and that was one of the things that Steve. It took him a while before it hit him. Oh, that's why they call this movie Offerings, because the movie starts out with a little boy or a young boy that doesn't talk. And Steve thought his mother was his grandmother. And like, whenever I told him it was his mother in the movie, he's like, because she looked like a really old lady. But she's really mean to the little boy. And evidently, she must have got attacked by her husband, the boy's father, and then killed him. And she's got a scar on her neck, and she says, I bet you're going to be like your good for nothing father. And she talks about him torturing, cutting up his pets. And she is almost screeching at one point, pointing to the scar on her neck. And she's like, is this what you're going to do to your wife? And then the little girl from next door comes and knocks on the door, Gretchen. And she wants to play. She says, can Johnny come out? And his mother says, well, Johnny's not feeling too good today. And she's like, but he wants to come out. So his mother lets him go out, and they're playing checkers. And the preppy kids show up and start giving Johnny trouble. And then they say, well, I guess he's never walked the well. And I guess this is a big dare thing for the kids in this community to walk all the way around the well without having their hands on anything. And kids do stupid shit like that all the time. I did stupid stuff. Sometimes I think about some of the stupid stuff that I did when I was a kid, and it's a wonder I'm still alive now. Falling out of trees, swinging on grapevines. And like one time I swung on a grapevine and it swung out, and I was having a heck of a good time. It swung back, and the back of my head just smacked back against that tree. I just never thought at that point in time that it was just going to go straight back against the tree. You always think it's just going to go to the side of the tree or something. But like I said, I did some stupid shit when I was a kid. So, but so he takes off on his bike, and the other kids follow him, and Gretchen follows, and he walks around the well. And then one of the boys says, "Not bad for a retard," which that line wouldn't they would not allow that in a movie now. I would highly doubt it. And so then he turns around and goes, like that, and scares the little boy. I don't know who would think that was a good idea when somebody's standing like that far from the edge of the well, the deep dark well, scares the boy. He falls in the well. The other kids get scared and run away. It's kind of like the prom night scenario when young Robin falls out the window to her death, and the kids want to just take off and leave and just kind of try to forget it ever happened. And the last shot you see of that scene is Gretchen looking down um, into the well, not knowing what to do. The rest of her friends have taken off. Um, so then we fast forward to, I guess, I think it's 10 years later. And little Johnny has grown up into very big Johnny. And he's in a mental hospital because he somehow got out of that well, went back to his house, killed his mother, and was eating her when the cops found him, I guess. So he spent the last 10 years in the mental hospital. Of course, he breaks out and makes his way back to his hometown. And the reason why the movie is called Offerings is because he slowly kills off Gretchen's friends one at a time, the ones that were responsible for knocking him in the well those many years ago. And he, will cut off a finger or whatever and then leave it, in her newspaper. There's a nose in the newspaper. There's a finger, and her dog gets it, and she doesn't even see the finger. There's an ear. Um, Maybe the ear was in the newspaper. I don't know. There was a nose. There was an ear, I think. And the sheriff is totally incompetent. I mean, he's one of those, big, big good old boys, sheriff. And although he doesn't seem as lazy as some of the sheriffs I've seen on these slasher films, he still didn't seem really all that interested in, helping anybody out. And Steve made jokes upon jokes about this guy when we were doing the commentary. Um, it is a really fun one to do a commentary or a watch along for. I would be more than happy to do a watch along at some point for this one if you guys were interested. And, but, the acting is not that great in this movie. Especially the one guy who plays Tim, the older Tim in the movie. Uh, he constantly, when he's walking, is doing this with his arms. His arms just like swing back and forth like this when he's walking. And they're really I guess, over the top descriptive scenes because Casey, one of the girls, pulls up in her really expensive looking car and wants to borrow Tim's notes, his geography notes. And even though he's got a girlfriend, when Casey leaves, he says, all these chicks want me for is my notes. And he says, well, they can note this. And he grabs his penis and then walks away swinging his arms. Um, and there's one girl who has her ponytail to the side. Um, and I think her name's Linda. And when she calls Gretchen at one point, she's like, hi, Gretchen, it's Linda. And then her mom says that she needs to feed the dog or something. She says, Mother, I'm on the phone. So there's a lot of overacting in this movie. But I think, again, that's all part of the charm. There's clearly they were ripping off some Halloween elements in this. And if you watch it, I'm sure you'll be able to pick those out. There are some really, I think, overtly funny things. For instance, the college professor who is familiar with John Radley, Johnny, his case, he actually makes a trek out to the well where Johnny fell in it and where Johnny is storing the bodies of the people he kills. Um, and so the professor, the college professor, just has this idea he's going to go out in the middle of the night. He has a flashlight with him and he freaking turns it on and shines it right in his face. It's like, really, dude? You know, you're not going to point that away from your face when you're doing it. So there's just, I think the kills are pretty decent in it. There is one shot that I think is really creepy near the end of the film where um, John Radley has killed one of Gretchen's friends and has her head in his hands. But it's he somehow gets into Gretchen's house and her parents are away, so she has a friend staying over with her. And um, she's upstairs wanting to call the cops because they've been hearing noises and seeing shadows and all that stuff, and they're really scared. So her friend stays downstairs. She goes upstairs to call, I think because her phone upstairs in her bedroom is on another line and the one downstairs is dead. So she calls down to her friend after her friend is dead, and you see John Radley, and it's dark, but he turns around and his face, I don't know what happened to his face. It must have been something about falling in the well because his face just looks so weird and bizarre in that scene, especially. Let's see. Uh-oh. Hold on, guys. I'm going to have to plug in my, because my mouse's battery just went dead, so I'm going to have to plug it in here. Just give me just a moment here. I should have already been charging it because I ought to have known this would happen. I was going to go and try to pick up some of these comments that I missed while I was blabbing. Let's see here. I don't know, McCar, if I put that one up here earlier, but you said it's fun. And you say it reminds you of Final Exam. In some ways. I think it's a little better film than Final Exam. Darren, you say, I saw Offerings over 10 years ago. All I remember is it's a Halloween ripoff. The score is similar as well. Durkee said the gate was great. Gate 2 can go straight to hell. Um, McCarty said Gate 2 was fun. It had like a punk rock vibe. John, you've never seen Offerings, but you've seen Pledge Night once. McCarty said, don't forget the mom cooking breakfast with the Marlboro hanging off her lip. Yeah, and her putting the ashes in her son's scrambled eggs, too. Um, McCarty said they're going to change the audio on the 4K and it'll say fire retardant. McCarty said that was back when they used real body parts in movies. Well, I would hope not. Johnny say, LOL, those 80s voices, either grandiose or super New Jersey in those slashers. Exactly. Darren say, this has an 88 Films UK release. I'm not sure if the American release is out of print. Actually, I have both releases, Darren. This is the Dark Force Entertainment one. I am not sure if it's out of print. Actually, let me get the other one. I honestly don't know why I did this, but I did. Because I was thinking, well, I think part of the reason was because this has the Hysteria Continues commentary, and I definitely wanted that. And to be totally honest with you, the transfer might be slightly better on this 88 Films release. John, you said, by the way, I saw 13 Fanboy. It was so bad, in my opinion. Yeah, it's not really that great of a movie. I sat down and watched it with Steve. You said Feldman's character in 13 Fanboy seems like he's reading off a cue card, and I love Corey Feldman. Me too, but I totally agree with that. Darren says 13 Fanboy is awful. I agree. John, you said, Darren, I wanted to like it, honestly. And Darren, you say same, John. But here's the thing about Offerings, though. Even though I've told you about a bunch of cheesiness, yeah, it's got a lot of cheese. But I just feel like the director that made this, Christopher Reynolds, who actually shows up as a doctor in the mental hospital at the beginning of the film, I think it had heart, because I think that Christopher Reynolds believed in what he was doing. I mean, I'm sure he had to know that he was doing a Halloween ripoff. But I think he did a great job with the material he had. Um, I mean, it even says back on the back of the Dark Force Entertainment release, it says, in the tradition of the 80s slasher movie genre, Dark Force Entertainment is proud to bring you the 1989 cult horror classic Offerings. This dark little gem was directed by Christopher Reynolds and heavily borrowed from the original Halloween. Offerings is a worthy entry into the slasher genre with its own unique appeal. If you're a fan of a mass killer with knife horror flicks, you will want to add Offerings to your collection. So, and I don't know. I'm looking on the 88 Films release, and they say if slasher film formula teaches us anything, it is not to bully a young child, because chances are they might grow up to slice, stab, and slaughter those who once wronged them. And from Jason Voorhees to Prom Night and the late 80s shocker Offerings, there is one thing for sure: the body count is going to build and build as an adult Avenger takes on a slasher rampage of their own. So, the first time I saw Offerings was on VHS. I believe I rented it. Uh, yes, John. Offerings is the one where the villain has a face like putty almost. That's what's so weird about it. It's really, really odd looking. But would I recommend it? Here's the thing. Yes, I would. Now, if you ask Steve, he's going to say, hell no, I'm not going to recommend that movie. Um, but I don't think it's so bad that it's unwatchable or anything. I think it's a competent film. I think it has heart. It has an extra layer of cheese, obviously, or I wouldn't have included it this week. But I think it's just a fun little, I mean, late. I'm talking about really late 80s. We're talking about 1989 here, which means it was probably filmed in 88 and released in 89. Which that, of course, seems really old now. Um, really old because it is. I mean, we're in 2022 now. That was 1989. The only thing that would have made either one of these releases better would have been if they could have got some of the people that were in it and maybe Christopher Reynolds too, to do a commentary or some interviews or something. So I don't know if they couldn't connect up with these people, if some of these people have passed away. I have no idea. I do know that the guy that did the music for Offerings also did the music for Blood Lake. And I believe Tim Boggs, the director of Blood Lake, was friends with Christopher Reynolds. I think Tim Boggs might have actually worked on Offerings. So these are both Offerings and Blood Lake are both Oklahoma based movies. Um, Offerings it appears to be shot on film, while Blood Lake was shot on video, as far as I know. So that's definitely a difference. But I think it's pretty cool that Tim Boggs was friends with Christopher Reynolds, that he worked on Offerings, and then he went on to make his own movie. Blood Lake, which actually Blood Lake, I believe, was 87. So it actually came out before this one. So I guess Tim Boggs would have made his movie technically and then worked on Offerings with Christopher Reynolds. Um, John, you say I'll watch almost anything. Me too. I mean, I'm not, some people might think I'm really picky and choosy. I mean, Steve thinks I'm picky. Because a lot of the new stuff that he picks, I'm just totally not interested in it. To be honest. Um, I like my older stuff. I like some new stuff. Steve was telling me that Pearl was going to come out this weekend. And I said, well, are we going to go see it? And he said, I don't know. So hopefully we'll get to go to the movies and see Pearl because I really want to watch it. And then I think Steve said the third one was going to be called Maxine. And I don't know if that's going to be the end. I guess they'll gauge that on how much money they make from these other two. Um, John, you say, to me, a bad movie is almost fun just to see what the hell they were thinking. Exactly. I agree with you, John. You say now bad movies are just awful because it's all digital shit on someone's iPhone. It's not even film or a budget. No. And basically anybody can make one. John, you say bad films in the 90s and before usually had to try a little bit more. They definitely did. I mean, they wasn't going out in somebody's backyard generally with a damn iPhone. Um, you can you can sing the praises of iPhone all you want, Wesley Vance. Uh, I'm just teasing Wes because he's a big time iPhone person, and I feel like Wes is of the mind that you can do just about anything with an iPhone. Um, I prefer to do like things like video editing and stuff like that on a PC, on a desktop computer. I don't want to be like, because he's always talking about he makes some videos and edits them together on an iPhone using a program on an iPhone. But I don't know. I mean, maybe he figures that that takes more skill or something. Um, but really, what I'm talking about is people think they can go out in their backyard and film something, and everybody should think it's Citizen Kane just because they were able to pull this thing out of their ass essentially. So I totally get what you say, John. Uh, so does anybody have anything they'd like to bring up about offerings, especially for those of you that have seen it before, that you want to mention before I move on to pledge night, or anything else you want to talk about? Oh, goodness. I think I'm going to go. I'm going to put, since I don't have a guest on, I'm going to put the Evil Dead background up, and I'm going to go get a refresher on my drink while y'all are thinking about stuff, and I will be right back. I don't know why I did that. Hey guys, I'm back. Okay. Hey, around the restroom again. Not that you guys need to know that, but that's what took me a little bit longer. Let's see. John, you say, I think you can edit digital pretty well. Fincher does it, but you still got to have a budget. Most cheap filmmakers now don't invest any money. No, they do not. John, you say, they just go to Party City and get an iPhone 7 and go to a local festival. LOL. Dargie's Age, High West House of the Devil was $900,000. Didn't make a good return, but in my opinion, is his strongest film. I liked House of the Devil. I know some people seem, or it seemed to be a little bit split on the people that liked it and the people that didn't like it. Uh, but I enjoyed it. I thought that probably, even though X was a really decent entry into his catalog, I still love House of the Devil. I actually need to go back and watch it. That would be a good October watch, I think. John, you say, I agree, Dirk. I like that one a lot. I agree, John. House of the Devil is a good throwback type of film. And I think Ty West really tried hard in order to make it like that. Because I think he really paid attention to detail with that one. Now, some people might say I'm totally wrong, but I'm just going to throw that out there. Uh, Johnny say X was good, but I just think it's a bit overrated, but mainly because it has no competition this year. Ha, exactly. Yeah, there's really nothing. You know, I, it makes me a little sad that first we'll have a glut of really bad type of movies in the genre, and then it'll dry up and we won't have hardly anything. Why can't we just have a good year or two? Why can't we have maybe a return to form, like movies as good as and you guys may disagree with me on this, but movies as good as like The Conjuring or something. It almost seems like people are just, and movie watchers too, in general, are just content just to watch any old thing that somebody puts out. They don't really care about quality. Johnny says a good movie. Don't get me wrong. I'm just picky. Nothing wrong with being picky, and nothing wrong with being discriminate about what types of movies that you want to, because this is our life, guys. And, nobody wants to waste a good portion of their life watching stupid shit. So I totally get the being picky. Dirty say, I haven't watched Men, but I'm hearing people say it's as good as X, but not interested. X was good and X was decent. Men look like a piece of shit. And yeah, I I can understand you saying you're not interested, Dirk. I mean, ugh. I didn't even sit down and watch that thing all the way through. I just saw parts of it. I was like, what in the hell? What is this? And Steve, of course, said, oh, it's me. And I'm just sitting here watching it. But anyway, as I keep telling you guys, y'all feel free to put whatever you want in the chat. I'm going to move on to the second film. Just so, again, I don't go on too overly long with each of these films. But I know I hadn't seen Texas chatting in here for a little bit. Who knows? I might have missed his message. He might have had to go or something. But he did say he thought Pledge Night was shit. Basically, he didn't think it was a good movie. Um, and is it a good movie? No, not really. But it's got, I guess maybe the Acid Sid character tries to be kind of like a Freddy esque character. Maybe people didn't like that. Um, because he was basically, Acid Sid was a guy named Sid Snyder who uh, was a victim of a hazing incident gone wrong at a college. And years later, we find out Sid's son, plus a bunch of other guys, are pledging to a fraternity. And of course, they have to do some gross stuff, some raunchy stuff. Um, there's a lot of kind of I don't know, just kind of really sleazy atmosphere. This isn't like haunted ween hijinks. This is frat boys at their worst. You know what I'm saying? And there's really no humor actually to the hazing part of it. Um, they basically do things like make the guys pick up cherries with their ass, and they got to walk with them, and they've just got a jock strap on. And it's just not, to me, it's the most unappealing things to watch. Um, and there's another scene where they have to have like a corn cob around their neck, and then the other end of the rope or whatever is tied to their dick. And they have these guys. I don't know who these girls are. I don't know if they're part of a sorority, but they sure as hell don't look like sorority girls to me. Um, I don't know what they are. I don't know where they got these girls. I don't recall. But anyway, the heads of the fraternity send out these pledges to a bar, basically, and these girls are there, and the guys are instructed, if the girls say, what's this corn cob around your neck? Why you got this corn cob around your neck? And they have to say, pull it and find out. Well, of course, when the girls pull it, it yanks on the other part that's around their dick. And they're just like, oh, like that. So you get two or three, scenes of that while the heads of the fraternity are just laughing their asses off. The other part of it is that every year the fraternity has somebody be the crazy guy or act crazy. And they pick this one guy, and they tell the pledges that this guy's got a brain tumor, and so they got to kind of handle him with kid gloves because he's a big part of the fraternity, and they're trying to be good to him. And so he acts really, really crazy. They do a whole scene where it looks like he stabs one of the head guys, and it's really a thing with like blood bags and fake blood in bags and stuff like that. Um, but the guy that is acting crazy ends up getting sort of possessed by Acid Sid. Now, Acid Sid is not played by Joey Belladonna from Anthrax, but Sid, when it has the flashbacks and shows Sid going to his death in an acid bath, that is Joey Belladonna from Anthrax. Acid Sid was actually played by someone else. But like I said, they kind of go too much as a Freddy-esque character, and maybe they shouldn't have went that far. Him saying one-liners before he kills people, and them having like the hippie because he was supposed to. I guess Sid was supposed to have been a hippie. I don't know. And we find out that I don't know if he was married to the guy's mother, or they were just, in love and dating or whatever, or living together and not married. But it turns out that Sid is the one main guy's father. And his mother, keeps warning him about this hazing, and she's worried about him and all that. And of course, understandably so, because her boyfriend got killed because of a hazing accident. But let's see. John, you say, I hope Halloween Ends is okay. I know the score will be badass, but the movie, who knows? Yeah, I'm probably gonna give it a chance, and I'm gonna go in with an open mind, John. I just don't hold out a lot of hope for that movie. John, you say, I'm a fanboy, so I want it to be good more than being objective. Gotcha. Um, Darren, you say, anyone seen Moloch? That was pretty decent from this year. Some great suspense and atmosphere. I have not seen it. I'm gonna have to ask Steve about that. Um, Texas, you say, Man is a great psychedelic comedy. And you said that you said Pledge Night blows. That's right. That was how you put it. Darren, you say, I need to see X and Men. TJ, you say, imagine the script table reading for Pledge Night. Yeah, that would be an experience, I think. Darren, you say, I'm always late to the party with some of these hyped films, but I will get around to them. In some ways, though, Darren, I think that might be a good thing, that you don't just, as soon as something like that comes out, just go and watch it, because that gives you time, I think, to be more objective about the movie. Ray, do you want to know, is the night flyer any good? I just found it on here and put it on watch later. Keep or delete? It's decent, Red. I mean, the main reason that I watched it is, of course, because it has connections with a Stephen King story. Not a great little film, but worth a watch. I would say keep it. Dirk, you say Halloween Ends is going to make everyone change their negative thoughts on Halloween Kills. Really, Dirk? Well, we'll see. We'll see after I get a chance to watch it. John, you say, haha, Dirk, I don't know. It's going to split people, I bet. You said, I read the spoilers a while back. Hmm. Dirk's having us all crack up tonight. Um, so, um, so Pledge Night, although I don't like it as much as Offerings, I do enjoy it for what it is. Um, Vinegar Syndrome did put this out. Steve kind of admonished me for buying it, and didn't understand why I bought it. And I said, I don't know. It's just a fun little film. I like to watch it. Um, not, it's not like I like to watch it every week or even every month, but every once in a while I like to pull this one back out and watch it. I wouldn't really agree with the statement that a truly one of a kind blending of post Animal House TNA sex comedy and gore filled supernatural slasher. I don't think that this could be considered anywhere near the quality of Animal House. Um, and I don't know. I'm not saying, I'm not making fun of these girls that are in it, especially the girls in the bar scene. But it's like, it's almost, I don't want to say that they were making fun of overweight girls or anything, but they had a pretty healthy looking girl in the scene with the pledges. And then they have an older, obviously older woman. I mean, I'm not talking like 90 years old, but too old to be coming out like a stripper. And these guys are like, the woman looks old enough to be their mom or something, or possibly their grandma. And she's coming out there, I believe, with pasties on her boobies, and these guys are, like they ain't had sex in about 15 years. And then there's a whole scene where the guys are just like basically having sex with these girls right out there in the bar. And it's just a little bit too over the top. That I don't much care for. And again, I'm not a prude, but if you are really not into that kind of stuff and don't care to see it, then you could probably safely fast forward past that entire scene because it's really not essential to the scene, or I mean to the film, and it's not going to take anything away from it. They do call it slice and sleaze, which I think would be a good term for it. Turkey said, "Why would you do that, John? Are you talking about the spoilers?" Uh, you say, "I'm not watching nothing, not even the new TV spot or trailers." John, you say, "I didn't mean to, but fucking Twitter. I was following someone who posted a damn dump of it." Yeah, I hate when people do that. You say, "It doesn't ruin it for me, but I hate that I saw it." Johnny say, if anyone wants the end score early, I have it. I can send it on Facebook message. Just let me know. Then you say, Joey Belladonna made this in the same year I saw Anthrax back in the day. I remember they were all big Nightmare on Elm Street fans. Yeah, and that may be why the Freddy-esque, maybe that wasn't the director. Perhaps that was Joey Belladonna actually wanting to, even though Joey Belladonna did not play Acid Sid, he played normal Sid. Um, Maybe he had some influence in the character of Acid Sid. Dougie say, I'll check out the score, John. Just no spoilers. I'm heavily invested in the David Gordon Green's trilogy. So, would I recommend Pledge Night? Yeah, I would. It's definitely, worth watching. Now, if you are unsure of it in any way, like I say with a lot of these movies, don't go out and buy it. Don't do what I did. I only did it because I had watched it a long time ago on VHS and liked it. And I thought, what the hey? It came out on Blu ray, so I get it. I think this was one. Hey, Darren, wasn't Pledge Night one I sent to you on one of those discs at one time? Let's see. John, you say, yeah, no worries, no spoilers. Um, but I'll probably stay on here a few more minutes. Like I said before, with these Cheese Extreme Wednesdays, um, Darren, you say it may well have been. Yeah, I thought that was one I sent, but um, or didn't you send me some stuff? Maybe you sent it to me. I don't know. I get confused this many years later, but um anyway, like I said, that with these Cheese Extreme Wednesday streams, I've been trying to kind of keep it short and sweet, and not go on too awfully long about the two movies that I picked. Um, but like I said, I'll be willing to stay on here a few more minutes. I'm probably going to cut out a little bit earlier than I have been, just to try, because my health wise, I've been feeling worse. The I guess the long COVID is worse this week. Um, I just really wish I could get some relief. Um, and the last time I went to the little clinic, they didn't give me a prescription for more like prescription level ibuprofen. And I think I'm really suffering because of that. I should have just flat out just asked for it, but I was feeling bad that day and I just didn't think about it till later. Um, but is there anything anybody wants to bring up in here or suggestions? We had a lot of great suggestions that were thrown out last night. Um, I forgot to ask if anybody wanted to be on the stream tonight, but I'll tell you now, anytime I do one of these streams, there's always an open invitation for anybody that wants to come on the stream. Regardless of what Wes says, audio only is acceptable on my stream. Um, Dirk, you say I do have new recommendations if y'all haven't seen it. Bliss. Ah, Dirk. I think I watched that one, and I think I didn't like it. Was that on Shutter? Dirk, was Bliss on Shutter? Okay. You say it's on Shutter and Arrow Streaming. I think I saw it because I think Steve was watching it one day. Was that the one? Was that the one about the alien creature or whatever? Um, and those stupid girls taking a vacation or something. I just got to the point where I wanted just about all of them to die. Um, Darren, you say you've not seen it. Um, but I'm not going to say that you can't talk about it, Dirk. I'm just saying I think I saw that one and I was pretty sure I didn't like it. Um, okay, now this chick is an uninspired artist. So this isn't the one about the alien creature that they find, right? Okay. Well, why does that sound familiar to me then? Well, what was that one about the alien, I wonder? Oh, are you talking about Dirk, are you talking about the one with Salma Hayek? Oh. So that one, if that's the one with Salma Hayek and Owen Wilson, that one was pretty. That was pretty decent. I will say that. I cannot remember the name of that one that was about that alien creature. So you, Turkey say no aliens, no Salma. Okay, okay. So which movie is it? Dang. Okay, well, Dirk, you're gonna have to help me a little bit with this one because I cannot. Can you give a little bit of the plot without giving anything crucial away? So I'm still like trying to find this daggone thing. Oh, wait a second. I think Steve did. Oh, yes. I remember this one now. Yeah, I found it, Dirk. I did. I found it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Steve watched this one and I did not care for it either. Just I mean, I'm not going to say that I absolutely hated it, but it just really wasn't my cup of tea. Um So John, you say, "Oh, bless." Yeah, I think I know that one. It's either Steve watched it or I saw like the artwork for it because that looked very familiar to me. John, you say Glorious on Shutter is good. Oh, Glorious. I tried to watch that one. That's that one by that chick that does ain't she like a college professor or something? But all she does when she's on podcasts is talk about herself, and I think I think how she acts when she's on podcasts is kind of muddy the waters as far as me wanting to like anything she does. But I do think Steve watched Glories, which it did seem to have a pretty interesting concept to it. It, I just don't really see myself just sitting down and watching that movie anytime soon all the way through. Yeah, Rebecca McKendry was the director for Glorious. And I don't know, I just don't care for that chick. Um and like I said, that colored my perceptions, I think, a little bit. Red, you say, I think Bliss was made around 2015 by the same people who made The Endless. Dirk, you say she does drugs and it makes her do things. LOL. What things, pray tell, Dirk? John, you say, yeah, the cover art is really purpley. Dirk, you say, but every trip she adds to her masterpiece. Okay, Texas, you're saying, Dana, that was the seed. That was the one with the little alien creature. Yeah, I hated that. I hated that movie. John, you say it was filmed in Natchez Trace near my old stomping grounds on Mississippi. This is the one about the guy who meets a Cthulhu god in the toilet. LOL. I didn't realize he was a Cthulhu god. I knew he was like some kind of otherworldly being, but I didn't realize that that's actually what he was. Um, say different, glorious. I think. Yeah, the one about the guy who meets the Cthulhu god in the toilet. That's the one that Rebecca McKendry directed, and it has the picture of the guy uh, on the cover holding a leg, and it's a Shutter original. Um, Says after a breakup, Wes ends up at a remote rest stop. He finds himself locked inside the bathroom with a mysterious figure speaking from an adjacent stall. Soon, Wes realizes he is involved in a situation more terrible than he could imagine. But Dougie said the drug makes her crave blood, laughing my ass off. John, you say, I knew that bathroom because we used to go camping near there. That's wild. You say I was like, that's the Natchez trees. John, you say, or maybe the same one. It's the one on Shutter. Yeah, Steve was watching it just because he was curious. Um, You say, "Yep, that's it." Yeah, like I said, John, have you ever listened to that Rebecca McKendry on that? I think she's been on that All the Colors podcast or whatever, and she just like, I mean, totally turns me off because it doesn't matter what movie they bring up. She figures out a way to tie it in with something great she's supposedly done, and it just gets annoying after a while. Durkee say highly sexual and gory as fuck. So you don't think that you've listened to her on the? You should try to look up Rebecca McKendry and see if you can find a podcast or something that she's been on, and you'll know. I think you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about if you listen to her for any length of time. Um, so I think I'm gonna stay on here for about 5 more minutes, so, I think 9:45 is probably a good a time as any for me to get off of here for the night, but, we still got 9 people in here, so I will continue to talk and discuss things with you guys for another 5 minutes. Like I said, I wanna take off here a little bit earlier than I had been, just so I can get a little extra rest. I'm down to the final 2 days. Well, actually, I have to work 4 hours on Saturday, but I'll get a little overtime, so that's good. My next check will have a little bit of overtime on it. But, Dirk, you say, did you check out the Fall 4K yet? Not yet, Dirk. I actually still need to finish up, uh, bu- 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 Friday 13th, in 4K. And I probably won't watch I probably won't watch Fatal Attraction tonight because I think that's a little longer than I think I can hold out for tonight. So if I can get through, it's not because I don't love Friday the 13th. I love Friday the 13th. But last night I was trying to finish up the 4K. I just kept nodding off, kept nodding off. And finally I said, screw it. I'm going to just go to bed. And then I tried to watch a little bit more during my lunch break today, but I was feeling so bad during my lunch break that I enjoyed what I watched of it, and I got near to the end of it or the last portion of it. But then it was time. I get an hour lunch period, but I usually have to do a few things before I actually sit down and have my lunch and watch, part of the movie usually. So I'm going to try to finish up the 4K of Friday 13th tonight, and then I may see if I'm not too tired to put the 4K in. Have you checked out your copy yet, Dirk? Johnny say, okay, I recognize this lady. I've seen her in something. She may have been at a local film fest once I was at in Mississippi. Possibly. Yeah. You say it was like 10 years ago? A lot of shitty local art. Are you kidding, Darren? I honestly, Darren, I'd have to disagree with that. I thought it looked a lot better. But I know that, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but I know that Pizzow's been doing his thing a lot longer than I have. So I mean, it wouldn't hurt my feelings if people preferred to go with what he's saying. But I thought the transfer looked a lot better overall than the Blu-ray. Um, I will say the only thing I was disappointed in, it seemed like some of the dark scenes, which a lot of this movie takes place at night, of course. Um, Although you could see things and stuff like that, they just almost seemed a little bit too dark. And maybe I was tired last night, but the beginning scene where the kids are guy and the girl counselors are messing around and somebody comes and kills them. Am I wrong? Or when that girl is backing away and throwing the boxes at whoever's trying to kill her and she screams and then it fades into um the title sequence. Okay, I could have sworn that originally that kind of went to bright white. And like I said, maybe I was too tired last night. Maybe I zoned out a little bit, but it seemed to go black, like really black. And I don't remember that happening. But other than that, I do think the transfer is really, really good. Darky say, how do you feel about Terrifier? I love Terrifier, Dark. I love it. Um, I don't have a physical copy of it, but I want to say I bought it off of Amazon. I don't. Yeah, I do know why I did that because I was visiting my mom and um I thought that you could watch it some other way, but you couldn't. And I wanted my mom to see the movie. And so I think I bought it off of Amazon for streaming purposes. But yeah, I like that film a lot. Dougie say, not yet. I probably will tonight. Um, Johnny said, I like Terrifier. All Hallows Eve is good too. I need to watch that one. Turkey say, Piss Hal is a cuck. Uh, well, she said, I'm still here. I got bad gas tonight and it smells like dirty garbage. Well, thanks for sharing, Wes. We appreciate that. Actually, Wes said that twice. Um, Darren, you say he said it's dark, but it could be a settings. Uh, that's possible. I think I've got my TV set on like maybe like what would be called vivid settings. So um, I thought it maybe it's not quite as bright as I've seen other transfers be, but I did not think it was too dark. Again, that's just my opinion, though. Um, Johnny said the clown guy was at Fright Night, wasn't he? I believe he was. And I was going to go up and meet him, but I kind of wanted to maybe not get his autograph, but maybe get a picture with him. Even though he wouldn't be, if he wouldn't be in the makeup, that was okay. But I think things were way too expensive, and it's either that or we didn't end up going at that time for whatever reason. But there was some reason why I didn't. Um, Dirk's laughing at Wes. Um, Dirk, you say you met him last year at Texas Frightmare Weekend. How was that, Dirk? Was he pretty cool? John, you say nice. Yeah, that franchise has got a cult following. It's growing. Well, she said, I'm willing to bet there's little to zero difference in the 4K remastered Blu ray versus the actual 4K. Depends on who you ask, Wes. If you ask me, I think there's a big difference. But if you ask Pizzow, evidently he thinks the 4K is worse than the Blu ray. Turkey said, yeah, but fuck PWOCK. John, you said that poor Fright Night, LOL, it was pitiful, like a line of tables, almost awkward to walk up to in the celebs. Yeah, one of the last Fright Nights I went to was sad too. Yeah, the vendors took 5 minutes to walk through. Yeah, it's unfortunately Fright Nights took a tumble from what it once was. So, guys, I went on a little bit longer than I initially said. So, I think I'm going to take this opportunity to thank everybody that came into the chat tonight. I think we had a pretty decent crowd. I'm gonna put Dirk's thing up here. You say he was cool and cheaper than most, 30 for a print autograph. Yeah, that is a lot cheaper than a lot of people. Um, but again, I'd like to thank everybody that showed up for the chat. Again, anybody that comes into these streams, if you decide when you come in here that you would like to be on the stream, even in an audio only, um, just let me know. Everybody's got an open invitation at any time. Now, if you get weird on here, and and by weird, I mean like if you start saying really offensive stuff to people and you're not kidding and things like that, then of course I'm going to boot you off. But um, if you're like, the other guys that I've had on here, Darren, even old Curly Jaws and Texas, and uh, if everybody, minds their P's and Q's, it'll be fine. Um, so Darren's saying, have a good one, everybody. You too, Darren. Thank you, Texas. Wes, you say, come on our channel at 10. UB and Garrett is going live if people want. Yes, they are. I did see that. I think, Wes, aren't they continuing the 101 scariest horror moments or whatever from, what is it, from Shutter doing that? So yeah, definitely hop on over to the Dead Pit channel and check out Uncle Bill and Garrett. Wes says, "Yup," and you say you have yet to watch those. Dirk says later, Darren. Just remember, my opinion is unfiltered in this land of the easily offended. Well, Dirk, I didn't mean you. I just meant like if people come on here and are really offensive, like um, getting real personal with people and stuff like that, that would be the only reason that I would boot somebody off. Um, so, okay. With all that being said, thanks, guys. I had a lot of fun. Like I said, I think we had a pretty decent crowd. I've almost went on for 2 hours on here. So I am going to skedaddle on out of here, and I will see everybody on the flip side. So y'all have a good night now.